Hi friend, welcome to your practice. Thank you so much for making the effort and showing up to join me today. We have a restful, restorative practice. So you get to practice resting. Just repeat that for a moment and see how that lands. You get to practice resting. So we will focus on hips, low back, and a little bit of the chest. So it'll be a nice overall total restorative practice. And we will use 2 bolsters and supports. So I have 2 cushions from the couch. You can also grab a couple of pillows. And we will begin in a seated position. So take a moment to grab whatever you might need to support your practice. And as you arrive in your seated shape, just take a moment to shift down to what's beneath your seat. So feeling the bolster, your pillow, the mat, the ground beneath you. Just become more aware of this foundation. Let your hands rest on your thighs if that's comfy. And allow your eyes to soften or just bringing your gaze more downcast. And feel the length of your spine as you reach the crown of your head up north into the sky. Taking a full breath of air in through your nose, feel your chest rise, the belly lift. And a slow exhale, feel your navel draw in towards your spine, the chest falls, the shoulders relax. Taking 3 more clearing breaths, just like this. Making space for your practice and your rest today. Using each breath as an opportunity to clear out whatever might be in your headspace that doesn't lend itself to rest and relaxation. Just trust you can come back to those thoughts, those worries, stories that are circulating in your mind. Slowly set them aside. And let your eyes flutter open. Just taking a moment to check in with how your physical body is feeling today. Shift around in your seat. Are there any places that are standing out that feel tight or tense or open? Just taking note. Notice what your energy level is like today. Anything else present? And then let's come on down to your back. Setting your bolsters and pillows off to the side for a moment, and your feet will land a little wider than hip distance apart, about as wide as your mat. And the arms resting in a cactus shape or a T. Pressing your head back into the earth to find some lift in the chest to slide your shoulder blades in towards one another. And give a few gentle rocking motions with the pelvis until you find a more neutral shape. So it doesn't feel like your pelvis is tilted forward, it doesn't feel like you're tucking under, but somewhere in between. And then slowly start to let the knees windshield wiper to your left, and then let them wipe to your right. Staying connected through the back of the shoulders, soft jaw, long neck. Just starting with some very gentle movement, loosening up the back and the lower spine. Maybe there's some spinal adjustments happening. Just taking it slow at first, and then you can explore a little larger movements. And the next time the knees come over to your right, just pause for 3 cycles of breath. So let your attention redirect to your inhale and your exhale. If this is too much, you can always bring one of your supports underneath the knee. So remember, the goal of this practice is to rest and restore, not to bring more stress in the body or more tension. And then bring your knees back to center. Reset. Feel both sides of the body align. And then let the knees shift over to your left. Taking about 3 cycles of breath here. If you use that pillow and support on the first side, you can go ahead and slide it underneath your left thigh. And it may feel nice for you to soften your eyes and let the eyelids relax. Maybe you are outside and you can gaze softly at the clouds. But can you stay present with your breathing? Even though we're not moving or flowing, let this be a breath-centric practice. And then come back to center. Shift around, reset. And then walk your heels a little closer in, so about hip distance apart. Press down back into what's behind you and beneath you, the ground, so that it feels like your sternum is lifting just a touch away from your mat, and my jaw is going to lift just enough so I can walk my shoulder blades down towards the spine. And then slowly start to engage in the core, press down to lift up, and take your bolster, your support, your pillow, slide it underneath the sacrum, that big, flat, bony part of the spine. And then just rest here. So this is a great release for the back. It can be very supportive in that lumbar part of the spine that can compress and get painful and achy. And breathing easy here for 5 cycles of breath. In through the nose, feel lift across the chest and the collarbones, all the way down into the belly. And as you exhale, feel that deflation of the spine, or your navel rather, that falls into the spine. The collarbones soften, the jaw softens. If your neck is craving a little movement, just taking an easy rotation over to the left and over to the right. Keeping a good amount of weight and pressure down into the ground. Almost feeling this scrubbing action of the head against your mat. And come back to center, pause. Feel this nice alignment and posture in your body. And then take your time as you bring your right knee into your chest. Interlace your hands across the right shin. And just gently hug that right thigh bone in towards the chest. And then release. Inhale, hug it in. And exhale to release one more time. And release. Maybe you extend the leg up to the sky and then reset your right foot down. And same thing on the left side. Inhale, hug the left thigh bone in towards the heart. And exhale, press out. Now my head and shoulders are staying on the earth to keep this pretty low intensity. It might feel nice for you to look down the midline of your body. And as you press into your hands to straighten your arms, you lift the head and then release down. So you choose here based on how your energy is, how your body's feeling. And then release. Good. And then let's hug both knees into the chest. kind of stir the hips into the support of your bolster or the earth. And then let's roll over onto your right. Gently press yourself up. And we'll come down to your belly. So we're going to find a crocodile pose. This is a nice release for the low back. So my legs are wider than my hips, tops of my feet, at least mat width distance. I'm going to slide my elbows a little in front of my shoulders. They're shoulder width apart, so my bottom ribs can rest on the earth. And it's really the leverage of my elbows into the ground that's holding me up, but there's really little to no muscle energy that's happening in the upper body. You can always bring a support underneath your hips and your pubic bone if this is feeling a little uncomfortable. Or even adjust and bring the elbows closer underneath the shoulders. There's no compression or tightness in the low back. Really thinking about softening, releasing those muscles that live along the spine and even within the vertebrae. And take your time. Slowly walk your hands out, make a little support for your head, and bring your forehead down to the earth. And just feel the whole back of your body soften, almost as if someone just threw a big warm blanket on top of you. And take a few cycles of breath here. Now we'll move to a side lying position. So my right arm is going to make a pillow for my head, or you can bring one of your supports to support the head and the neck. And I have my knees bent about 45 degrees. They're not tucking up into my chest, but there is a slight bend. And then I'm going to bring a pillow in between so that my knees and my ankles can rest here. So now there's not so much weight on my bottom shoulder. Arms extend out long. Now with your inhale, you'll open up. Let that top arm and your ribs wrap to the sky. Maybe you look over that opposite shoulder. And then as you exhale, roll back over the way you came. So a little thoracic twist, opening up the waist and the rib cage, the chest. Exhale brings you back. Inhale opens you up. Feel the shoulder blades drawing in and down the back. Just moving with the breath a few times. And on this last round, we'll pause, hold in this open twisting position. Steady, smooth, subtle breath. Take your time as you roll from the navel, then the ribs, the shoulder, and the arm and the palm. Return to your starting position. And then rolling to your back in between sides. Bringing both feet to the earth for a moment. And then rolling to your opposite side. So setting up with those knees bent about 45 degrees. Feeling your shoulders line over your hips. So imagine if you were looking down at your body, you'd have this nice posture. And then let your inhale trigger you open into this twist. And smooth breath out. Exhale, roll back over. Nice. Breathe in. So feel the muscles, the tissues, the fascia expanding. You're just breaking up any stickiness within the ribs and the thoracic body. A few more times, or however many times you need to really open up in the ribs and the chest. And then we'll pause and land. Gazes up at the sky or over that extended arm, whatever feels most comfortable for your neck. So your shape can look very different than mine. If this is too much on that extended arm, just bend the elbow. Bring your top palm to your heart or your belly. And then rolling over slowly. Just rest for a moment. Just feeling whatever there is to feel here. And then take your time as you press yourself up, setting your bolsters off to the side where they are still handy and accessible. And we're going to move into a hip flexor stretch. And a few options here that you can do depending on how tight you are today. So coming to hands and knees position, I'm going to step my left foot forward and slide a support right in front of my right knee. I'm going to bring two actually. And then feeling that front knee stack over your ankle. Back foot can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels most comfortable. And then I have a support underneath my right thigh so that I can really release the weight of my pelvis down. Stay anchored through that front left heel. And then think nice long spine. Lift across the collarbones and the heart. I'm not looking up and putting stress on my neck. It's a nice neutral gaze. It's a soft bend in my elbows. My hips are more or less aligned, so notice if that left hip is uneven, can you just gently slide it back in space? And then take your time as you come out of this. I'm going to lift my back knee, step together, and then switch sides from here. Now your front foot comes forward, right foot comes forward. And find your setup. You can always do this without the bolsters. Take your time, feel that alignment, that steadiness of the right knee over ankle. Gently pull that right hip crease back. And then use the arms as pillars here, as part of your shape. Taking about 5 to 6 cycles of breath. And then we'll step back into a tabletop position. I'm going to set my supports off to the side for a moment and coming right into child's pose. Let your forehead come to the earth. Thighs can be close together touching, or maybe you have a little space between the thighs today. I prefer this variation just to provide some more support for my low back. Just unshrug the shoulders. And let your body soften. And take your time as you slide forward, and we'll move into our final, most important pose of our practice, our final rest. So as you arrive and get comfortable, I really encourage you to stay down here for at least 5 to 6, even 8 minutes if you have the time, and to take advantage of your props. Underneath the thighs or the knees may feel nice, underneath the head or even the shoulders. but using them in a way so that your body weight can really release down without feeling any discomfort, distraction. And shimmy around, let the eyes soften once more. And start to invite this felt sense of comfort into this shape. Feeling supported and steady. And feeling your bones get heavier as gravity pulls you gently down into your mat. Feel your muscles relax. The jaw soften. Feel the hollowness of your eyes and your temples. And then be here for as long as you would like. I'll leave you here to rest. Thank you for your practice. I'll see you soon.